Hello there, Stevos, and welcome to this week's episode of the movie wrap-up. Firstly, I just want to say apologies for the delay of this video. I have been quite busy this afternoon and stuff, so I do apologise for the delay of this video. It was meant to be out at 4 PM UK time today, but obviously it's out a little bit later because I've only just got round to filming this video, and it is literally 4 PM UK time at the time of recording this video on a Sunday afternoon. So apologies there. Secondly, as well, before I do get into this episode of the movie wrap-up, I just want to say that this week I have also purchased some movies on digital to buy and keep on Amazon Prime Video. The last time I did actually buy some films on digital to buy and keep, it was actually on Grace's birthday, when I purchased Immaculate, Monkey Man and Abigail as well. Me and Grace decided to rewatch Abigail on my iPad actually on her birthday because we enjoyed that film that much. But anyway, this week though, I have purchased some more movies to buy and keep on Amazon Prime Video. I'm just going to very quickly go through a list of the films that I have purchased to buy and keep, and I'm happily going to rewatch again very, very soon. So the first one being Back to Black, second one Fall Guy, the third one Lisa Frankenstein, fourth one Late Night with the Devil, fifth one, Civil War. Sixth one is Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. And then I decided to get the Despicable Me films to buy and keep on digital because, fun fact here, there was a kind of a deal going on Amazon with the Despicable Me films. So I could buy Despicable Me for $4.99, Despicable Me 2 for $4.99, or Despicable Me 3 for $4.99, which would have brought the price or the total price to £14.97, or originally priced at $23.99 but had been slashed down to $14.99, was the 5-movie collection where you got Despicable Me 1 to 3 and Minions and Minions The Rise of Gru. So in theory I got Minions and Minions The Rise of Gru for an extra 2p, which isn't bad, to be honest. So by the way, I just want to say that in next week's episode of the movie wrap-up, I am going to be talking about the Despicable Me films because I'm planning to watch Despicable Me 4 this week, and I've never seen the Despicable Me films 1 to 3, so I thought I would buy those films. I've heard that they are really good, and it's really weird that I've only seen the Minion films and not the actual Despicable Me films. So there we go. And finally as well this week, by the way, I've also purchased a classic film from the 80s, which is E.T. the Extraterrestrial. It's a film that I have seen before. I've seen it quite a few times, and it is a film that I do enjoy watching. And it was also, the price had been slashed, I think, from $7.99 down to $3.99. So that's not a bad price. So there we go. So those are the films that I have purchased this week on digital. There might be some more films that I'm going to purchase on digital next week as well. But I'll let you know in the next episode of the movie wrap-up if there is any more films that I have purchased to buy and keep on digital. And before we actually do get into this episode of the movie wrap-up, because yes, there are some reviews for me to talk about in this episode, of course there is, I also just want to say that yes, I am wearing an England shirt because in the next couple of hours, by the time this video goes out, England will be taking on Spain in the Euro 2024 final. So, come on England, bring it home. Anyway, without further ado, it's time for the movie wrap-up. You're watching Steve's Movie Wrap-Up, episode 35, right here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. The first movie we'll be reviewing in this episode is Maxine. So the first film this week is Maxine, which I gave 3 stars over on Letterboxd. So I went and saw Maxine at the cinema, the first of a few cinema trips that I have made this week. And I must say that Ty West, who directed this movie and directed the previous 2 entries in the trilogy or franchise titled X and Pearl, did a great job. The music soundtrack was great. Little bit of Frankie Goes to Hollywood in there as well. Definitely gave it those 80s vibes. There was some horror throwbacks to the 80s that I love, that I think fans of the 80s horror genre would enjoy as well. Even in some of the kill scenes, I would like to think that there is some kill scenes which kind of throws it back to those 80s kind of horror movies, which was a nice touch. We have Halsey, Lily Collins. A lot of people will know her as Emily in the Netflix original series Emily in Paris. Kevin Bacon, Giancarlo Esposito, and of course the main lead of the film, that is Mia Goth. All-star in this film. Without giving too much away, I was actually surprised with 2 people's performances in this film. Actually, no, make that 3 people. First of all, Kevin Bacon as the private detective. I thought he was great in the role, and he did have a slight slice of villain to his character, which I thought was decent. Giancarlo Esposito, I thought, did a great job playing Maxine's agent, a little bit more goofy. You see, I have known to see Giancarlo play more villainous roles, like in The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, or another horror film that came out earlier this year. And one of my favourite horrors of 2024 so far, Abigail, he played another villain in that. So it was nice to see him have a less serious and more goofy kind of role. And of course there is Lily Collins, who also took me by surprise, because I need to know firstly, the way she spoke in the movie, is that her actual voice? It's just because I have Googled her and found she is British American, so I don't know if her accent she gave in this movie is her actual accent or not, but I was surprised to hear her speak like that. It kind of took me by surprise. It's just a shame that I wish we got to see more of her character. There are so many throwbacks to the 80s, and there is a message in here about Hollywood, and there is also a message about religion in here as well. If you've seen the movie, then you will understand what I mean. And I can't help but wonder whether this is what 2024 is all about, to be honest, in terms of the horror genre. Nearly 90% of horror films I have seen so far in 2024 have had at least one message about religion in its story, and this one does have a religious message in its story. The film does have a running time of 1 hour and 44 minutes as well. There are a few scenes where I will say are quite dark, and I mean that in terms of lighting, but for the majority of the film though, I did enjoy the use of lighting. I did laugh at some of the dialogue within this film as well. So there is a little bit of light comedy in here as well. The really weird thing is, I have seen people compare this film to other franchises' third movies. For example, Scream 3 and Halloween Ends. I don't know why. I wasn't too fond of Scream 3, and Halloween Ends for me sucked. But I wouldn't say that this film sucked at all. I did enjoy it enough to give it 3 stars on Letterboxd anyway. I will say that although we do see a lot of violence and gore in here, I just wish we had more of that, but I can't complain with the scenes that we did get. And also saying that, I think the film was also done on a low budget. However, the film has done well during its opening weekend at the box office, so here is hoping that it will do well during its opening first week at the box office. Is this a film that I would watch again? I definitely think this would be a film I would watch again. In fact, I do have X and Pearl on digital, so I might as well complete the trilogy when this film comes out on digital and purchase it to buy and keep. This is also a film that I do think horror lovers will enjoy, particularly those who enjoy 80s horror. As mentioned, this does pay homage to those films within the film itself and in the dialogue as well. I think the director Ty West did say that if this movie did well at the box office, then he does have another idea as part of the X universe. Not sure if it involves Mia Goth in any way or not, but he does have another idea, so who knows, maybe this isn't the last movie in this franchise. One final thing, I saw an interview a few days ago on Twitter with Mia Goth, and it took me by surprise that she has this posh British accent. I have seen her in quite a few movies now where she has an American accent or something along those lines, and I have never actually heard her talk in real life until now. So props to her voice acting coach as well for giving her all those hours to put in an American accent when she does these kind of films. So the movie Maxine is now playing in theatres and cinemas worldwide. The Bike Riders. So the next film that I have seen this week is The Bike Riders, which I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. The Bike Riders is a film that I've only just got around to seeing at the cinema. It's a film that I have been holding off watching for a while. Partially the reason is because I'm not a huge fan of motorcycles or motorbikes, but as a friend of mine wanted to see this film, I decided to go and watch it with them. And so what did I think of this? Surprisingly, I really enjoyed this. The film stars Jodie Comer as Kathy, Austin Butler as Benjamin, or as the characters call him, Benny. Tom Hardy plays Johnny in this film, and there is a brief cameo appearance from none other than the Walking Dead star Norman Reedus. And let's face it, is anyone surprised by his appearance being in a film about motorcycles? Just look at his character Daryl in The Walking Dead. He rides a motorcycle. I will say though that I am surprised with the format that this film went by, which was more of an interview telling the story of this motorbike club that was together from the mid-1960s to the early 1970s. I think the characters in this film were developed rather well in the space of the nearly 2-hour running time we had with this movie. The pacing was fine and I was engaged for pretty much the entire movie. There is a few powerful scenes in this film, I thought, especially one scene towards the end of the film between Benny and Kathy when they were talking about Benny giving up the motorbike club. I thought that two-hander scene was done rather well, portrayed rather well, and also the dialogue in it was rather powering as well. Speaking of dialogue, I will say that this film does have some great dialogue in here. There are bits of dialogue which I did think was actually rather funny, which I wasn't expecting this to be funny, but I am glad that they added some light humour in here. There are a few action sequences in here as well, which again I thought were done rather well, and there are some scenes in here where you do get to see more blood splatter all over the place, which is awesome. But we aren't talking horror movie blood splatter, just minor bits of blood splatter here and there. You know what? While we are on the subject of bikes, let me just tell you something. Fun fact about me. When I was a child, I got a mini moped bike. It was only brief, by the way. It was a rather small motorbike, and I remember going around the road near my house when I was younger, and I ended up crashing the bike into the back garden fence. That was a rather hilarious moment of my life, and I haven't been on a motorbike since, and I also need a motorbike license to drive one, something I have no interest in getting. There is some great cinematography moments in this film and some great shots in here, which I know that film lovers will enjoy. And as for the time period, it's going from the 60s to the 70s, and I do think that's the characters were portrayed in this film in the 60s rather well, and as well when they were portrayed in the 70s in the second half of the movie. Surprisingly, this is actually a film that I would consider getting on digital when it does release later this year on digital, because I did enjoy this movie and would happily watch this one again. Would I recommend this film? Yes, definitely I would. And even if you don't own a motorbike or not into motorbikes, I would still suggest that people do still give this film a watch, because there is action and there is some light humour in this, which I do think that people will enjoy and appreciate for this movie. Long Legs. And the final film that I have seen this week is Longlegs, which, again, like the Bike Riders, I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. Well, I thought this film was going to be either 4.5 stars or the first 5-star film to have been released in 2024. But sadly, this was a little bit of a letdown. Longlegs is a film I have been dying, no pun intended, to see since I first saw the trailer for this film. That being said, in the weeks leading up to the release, we have had some solid marketing from the creators behind the film, as well as, and a lot of that marketing I have seen through the likes of social media, and it has been truly amazing. Then I have seen critics, reviews, and other people's reactions to this film on social media, classing it as scary or classing it as terrifying, and this got me hyped and pumped even more to see this film. I actually ended up watching this film on day one of its release in cinema, in a nearly slightly packed out cinema, and I think a lot of people like me have seen reviews online and have been anticipating this one as well, and maybe like me had some high expectations. Let me tell you now, if you are planning to see this film now at some point over the next week or so, then I would suggest that you lower your expectations for this film. I won't be giving away any spoilers for the film, but what I will say is that me and my friend who I saw this film with did come out of the cinema feeling rather deflated and rather disappointed with this film, especially when people online have been branding this film as creepy. While there are some creepy vibes to this film, but for me, at least, there wasn't enough creepiness for me to be fully creeped out in the cinema. And even the audience watching this film alongside me, you didn't even hear any of the audience members getting creeped out at any point of the, like, in any part of the scenes, really. So the cinema just remained dead silent throughout the entire thing. What I do like about this film, though, is the fact that the story itself is broken down into 3 sections throughout the film, which I thought was great. There was some eeriness to the music scoring to give the film that eerie kind of vibe that you are looking for in this film, and there are some great shots in here. I love the way how they use some sort of vintage camera for the flashback scenes throughout the film, and then the usual cinematic widescreen for the present day. I thought that was great. And there is some great tracking shots we see of Lee Harker, played by Micah Monroe, as we follow the character around through crime scenes. And when we see her driving in a car as well, those were some decent tracking shots right there. I will talk about Nick Cage because he plays the serial killer Longlegs in this film, and while people have branded his performance online as terrifying, I found him to be rather unhinged at times, yes. But also, on the other hand, there was scenes in here which I just couldn't help but laugh at his performance, because I found it more comedic rather than unsettling and taking it serious. And I also will say this: don't have high expectations neither when you see Longlegs' face. I get why they didn't show Longlegs' face in the trailer. They wanted to keep the suspense of the film, and probably to get people to see the film, they probably thought it's best we don't show the serial killer's face in the marketing or trailers. And that's a great way, by the way, to market a film. Leave people wanting to see what a certain character looks like in costume by actually going to the to see it in cinema, and keep the suspense going. But for me, when I did see what Nick Cage looked like as Longlegs, I was rather disappointed by it. I have seen people brand this film as a modern day version of Silence of the Lambs, and I will say that with that statement I do agree with that. because yes, it did feel like I was watching a more modern version of Silence of the Lambs. We didn't really see Longlegs kill anyone, just like in Silence of the Lambs where Hannibal Lecter has an accomplice. Well, it's the same in this film. Longlegs has an accomplice doing the job for him. Who's the accomplice, I hear you ask? Get your butt down to the cinema to find out, because you won't know in this review. In terms of dialogue, though, there are some really creepy descriptions of dialogue in here, which if you go away and think about it after seeing this film, it will leave you with the thought of this film is rather dark. So it is creepy with its dialogue, but not creepy in the way how people were making it out to be visually online. Oz Perkins is the one who directed this film, and I did think Oz Perkins did a great job with this film, despite some issues that I had with the film. Is this a film I would class as a horror movie? No, I would class it more as a crime/thriller film more than anything. It does, however, have some horror elements to it, which horror fans will recognise. I will say this though, just like many of the other horror films we have had so far in 2024, this film does have religious meanings behind the film, and if you have seen the film already, then you'll understand what I mean by that. I will say that at this moment I am starting to get rather overwhelmed with all these horrors we have had already in 2024 with the religious messaging behind them, because it's just starting to get rather repetitive and boring, in my opinion. I would like to soon see a horror movie that feels fresh and original and doesn't have any religious messaging behind it. Give religious horror a break for a while. Finally, to wrap up this review, and I know it has been a long one, again, no pun intended there, is this a film that I could get on digital? I think so, because there are elements to this film I did enjoy, and I think this is one film that I would watch again, despite the issues that I have raised in this review. But if it means that I get to see Nick Cage acting insane with a dash of comedy, for me anyway, in there, then sure, it will definitely be worth watching over and over again. And let me just tell you one final thing about Longlegs as well. To be honest, one day after watching this film, I kind of had the film playing again in the back of my mind. I don't know why, I just did. There are scenes that are kind of stuck in the back of my mind. And, you know, I just think that maybe, you know, like, in terms of doing this review, I mean, yeah, I'm definitely going to give it another watch again, I think, at some point. Not in cinemas, maybe once it releases on digital or something. I definitely do want to give it a watch again. But there is parts in there that maybe going away and thinking about it after seeing this film for itself, you know, especially after having, like, kind of a 24-hour gap between seeing this film, you know, you kind of start to think, and then you're like, is this actually a decent film? You know, did I come out feeling disappointed because I was expecting to see something a lot more visually fantastic? But, you know, the creepiness is within the dialogue itself, you know, so maybe has some of that dialogue that I've heard within this movie kind of stuck with me a little bit, and the more you kind of think about it, the more you go, yeah, this film is actually pretty scary. I don't know. I really don't know. But guys, listen, Longlegs is available to watch right now in your local theatres and cinemas worldwide. And that is your movie wrap-up episode, pretty much wrapped up in this week's episode of the movie wrap-up. Now, I'm going to tell you this now, okay? Expect me next week to go away and watch a heck of a lot of movies, because I've got movies that I'm planning to watch in the cinema, I've got movies that I'm planning to watch at home, and even one of them happens to be basically a franchise. I have 3 films in a franchise to watch before I go and see the 4th one in cinemas. And yes, I'm talking about Despicable Me. But listen guys, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for supporting this channel. As always, really do appreciate your support. I really do. I do actually want to say that I did go live earlier this week. And I did talk about the Samsung Galaxy Unpacked event. I'm considering, because I do know that the San Diego Comic-Con is taking place in a couple of weeks' time. They are going to be doing announcements from Marvel and, you know, and they're going to be doing announcements from various different kind of, like, movie studios and stuff like that. I'm sure they will. And I'm going to keep you guys updated on that, I think. And what I'm planning to do is Saturday the 27th of July, Sunday the 28th of July, and then Monday the 29th of July. Monday the 29th may have to be a very late live stream, by the way. I am planning to go live and discuss everything, or at least most of what has been announced during the San Diego Comic-Con, because I know it's going on for 3 days. There are going to be announcements online. I am going to discuss it and talk to you guys about it across those 3 days via my YouTube channel. I'm going to go live, okay? I'll confirm a time with you guys in next week's episode of the movie wrap-up towards the end. Also as well, across 3 days in August, a couple of weeks later after San Diego Comic-Con, I just very quickly want to say that D23 is happening. It's where Disney will be announcing a lot of stuff. I believe Marvel might be announcing a few bits and pieces. Not too much though, because I know they're announcing a lot of stuff at San Diego Comic-Con. So they're going to be announcing probably a minor few things at D23. But I do know that Disney themselves are going to be announcing quite a lot of stuff at D23. Again, across those 3 days, the 10th, 11th and 12th of August, I will go live on YouTube at a specific time. And I will talk to you guys about the announcements that have been announced at D23 by Disney. And I'll even go through some of the trailers and what I think of them and stuff like that, okay? So that's going to be coming up across the next few weeks on my YouTube channel. I just wanted to keep you guys updated in regards to that, okay? But for now, though, a massive thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. And as always, if you are new around here, you like what you see, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. And by the way, in the comment section, just say what movies you have watched in this last week, whether it's old, new, in cinemas or on streaming service. And if you have seen Longlegs, let me know whether you found Longlegs scary or not. Love to hear your opinions in the comment section down below. So yeah, your next YouTube video, by the way, will be coming up again next Sunday for you guys, which will be the 21st of July 2024 at 4 PM UK time. I'll try my best to get the video out by then. And yeah, that'll be the next movie wrap-up video for you guys, okay? So stay tuned for that. But from me, for now, it's goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys again in my next YouTube video.